Ever wonder how a tiny, persecuted group in a corner of the Roman Empire could possibly become a global faith of billions? It sounds kind of impossible, right? Well, that's the exact story we're exploring today. A real-life account of explosive growth against all the odds, all chronicled in one remarkable book. So yeah, this is the big question we're tackling. How did it happen? The answer is found in this single, action-packed historical account from the first century, the Book of Acts. And let me tell you, it's a story of unexpected power, radical transformation, and just relentless expansion. So, where does this incredible journey even start? Well, it kicks off right after the death and resurrection of its leader, with a mission that sounds completely and utterly impossible. Okay, so before his ascension into heaven, Jesus gives his small band of followers a final command. It's known as the Great Commission. And the task? To take his message from Jerusalem out to the very ends of the earth. I mean, for this small, probably terrified group, that must have seemed like an insurmountable goal. And this is where our source, the Book of Acts, comes into play. You can think of it as the historical sequel to the Gospels. But it's not just a book of theology, it's a fast-paced story that shows exactly how this mission unfolded, spreading from Jerusalem like wildfire all across the ancient world. All right, so they have their mission, but they need a catalyst, right? A spark to turn this command into an actual movement. And that spark arrives in a single, super dramatic event. That event is called Pentecost. For the apostles, Jesus' core group of followers, this was the moment everything changed. According to the Book of Acts, the Holy Spirit, which is described as the empowering presence of God, descends on them. It's like the spiritual rocket fuel for their mission. It gives them the sudden and miraculous ability to communicate their message to all the diverse international crowds gathered there in Jerusalem. You can see the cause and effect right here. The Holy Spirit arrives, which leads to this powerful, miraculous preaching, and the result is immediate and massive. On that one day, thousands of people join this new community. The church isn't just started, it's practically born in a flash. And right after Pentecost, leaders like the Apostle Peter really step up. The Book of Acts is just filled with stories of them performing miracles, like healing people. These acts served as real, tangible proof to everyone in Jerusalem that there was some serious power behind the words they were speaking. And that just fueled the initial growth even more. Of course, when something grows that fast, it often attracts some powerful opposition. And this story is no different. The movement faces its first major crisis, which, believe it or not, leads to the most dramatic turning point in the entire narrative. The danger suddenly becomes terrifyingly real. A man named Stephen, one of the early leaders, is publicly executed by the religious authorities for his faith. He becomes the first Christian martyr. This sends a clear signal. Believing in this message could now literally cost you your life. And this slide, wow, it perfectly illustrates the story's most shocking twist. The main antagonist at this point is a guy named Saul. He wasn't just opposed to the movement, he was actively hunting down its followers. And yet, this same man is about to undergo a radical transformation and become the movement's single greatest champion. It's unbelievable. The turning point is this dramatic encounter on the road to Damascus. As Saul is traveling to continue his persecution, he has this blinding, life-altering experience that just completely changes him. The hunter becomes the hunted, and Saul the persecutor becomes Paul the apostle. This one conversion alters the entire trajectory of the Christian faith. So now, with its most passionate persecutor turned into its most passionate advocate, the movement is ready to break out of its local confines and really, truly go global. The rest of the Book of Acts pretty much follows Paul on his missionary journeys. The guide travels tirelessly all across the Roman Empire, setting up new communities of believers in city after city. But this was anything but easy. Paul faced constant opposition. We're talking riots, imprisonments, beatings. Yet he just relentlessly pushed forward. For this message to really go global, a huge cultural and theological wall had to come down. See, the movement began entirely within Judaism, but Paul's mission focused heavily on the Gentiles, that is, non-Jews. Now, for a first-century Jewish movement, inviting outsiders in without making them follow all Jewish laws was radical. It was even scandalous. But this controversial decision, it was the key that unlocked the faith's potential to become a world religion, not just another Jewish sect. As the book closes, the message has reached the very heart of the empire, Rome itself. So let's kind of step back and look at the lasting legacy and the core themes that are woven throughout this incredible story. Looking back at the whole story, four key themes really stand out. First, you've got the power of the Holy Spirit, which is like the engine driving the whole thing. Second, there's the relentless mission to reach all nations. Third, the incredible self-giving faithfulness of the believers, people like Stephen. And finally, that radical inclusion of Gentiles, which created a diverse, multi-ethnic community right from the very beginning. So, ultimately, the Book of Acts is way more than just a history book. It's the story that laid out the blueprint for a faith that was designed to cross every single cultural and ethnic boundary. It's the story of the transition from a small group of followers in Jerusalem to the foundations of a global community. And that leaves us with a final question. Whether you look at this as history, as faith, or just as a massive cultural phenomenon, what can this ancient story, a story of profound conflict, radical conversion, and the forging of a new kind of community, what can it teach us about our own world today?